So today I'm going to talk about my January, February favorites, and it's pretty heavy on TV programs and podcasts, but I talk about other things too. So I hope you'll join me. Hey everyone, it's Melissa. Today's video, like I said in the intro, is talking about my January, February favorites. And I mentioned that it was heavy on TV and podcasts because I had surgery during that time and I was resting a lot and watching a lot of TV and listening to a lot of podcasts leading up to the surgery to take my mind off of it, and after the surgery while I recovered. So Doug and I watched quite a few things, and I watched some things by myself, and I'll get started, but there's some other things too. So I'll do those first and the TV and podcasts last. The first one is, it's nothing that I can link or anything. It's just, I really like the idea, and I've been doing it on the one-piece jumpsuits to put a snap in the back, because you have to take the whole thing out. If you have it usually comes that you connect it with a little button and a little piece of elastic that is hard to do. It's fiddly, especially with fingernails reaching back behind, especially when you gotta go to the bathroom or you're trying to come out of the bathroom. Put some snaps on instead, and it takes 1 second to unsnap and 1 second to snap it back up, and you will love wearing your jumpsuits. They're so comfortable and they look so nice, all one piece on your body. The next one is our new water filter system, and the only reason I mention it is we've always talked about the Berkey, and we enjoyed it for a while, but it got to smelling bad and tasting really terrible, almost like mold would. So we bought new filters and cleaned it out and just, sterilized everything. It still did that. So we decided not to use the Berkey. We have an under-the-counter water system. Doug bought it on Amazon and installed it. It was easy for him to install, and it has a little spigot that comes out, a little spout that comes out that you turn the water on. You just put your glass or whatever in the sink, turn it on, and it'll fill up, turn it off. It's very, very easy. Great tasting water, and just wanted to mention that in case the Berkey is not working for you anymore. The next one I talked about, I guess in my last video or video before last, Catrice, the Nude Drop Tinted Serum Foundation. My color is 03C, so 30C, cool, I guess. And I love this foundation. It's one of those foundations that makes your skin look better than what your skin really is. It hides flaws, but brings out the good points of your skin and makes it look very luminous and nice. It's close to my Nars foundation that I really like a lot. So I can highly recommend that, and it was definitely a favorite during this time. The next one are something that I'm able to start on right now, even though I can't do much with my arms until 2 months have passed. I can't lift weights or anything. But for my lower body, my daughter recommended this. This is the way, she's a dancer in excellent shape. She does resistance bands. So I bought the same types that she did. It comes in a little case. I think it was $9 or $10. I started out with the green, and it's color coordinated. It's got a little booklet that comes with it to tell you how to do the exercises. So you can put them around your ankles and do your legs that way, and you get great resistance, and it builds up as you get used to one. You go to the next strongest one, and then you can put it like around your hips and get good hip action to help strengthen up that hip area. I'll be able to do my arms when I've healed enough. I'll be able to really, this is just a great way, I think, to help get you in shape for the summer. My daughter, like I said, her body is like a specimen. It's so good, and this is what she uses, and she has her girls that are dancers use these two to build up their strength. So resistance bands. The next one are these two lovely Natasha Denona palettes, the little mini palettes. The first one is the mini Xenon palette. It's a very nice substitute for the Urban Decay Smoky palette. I am in love with these Natasha Denona little mini palettes. I've not tried any of her bigger ones yet, but boy, these are nice formulas, especially when it comes to not having a lot of fallout. This one is the Mini Dream, my Mini Dream palette. I will definitely give Natasha Denona a look with more palettes, maybe more of the mini, maybe some of the big palettes in the future. I saw one that was a bronze mini that I'm thinking about getting for the spring, those nice warm colors that I like to wear a lot. So that, and I love the Huda also palettes. They're just, these, this is my first round with Natasha and Denona with these two. I'm very impressed. Very, very impressed with these. And you get you get, a good look with these palettes. You can, very easy to take with you on vacation or wherever you want to go. So just love these so much. I was editing here on the couch and I realized I had left something out that I really wanted to say was one of my favorites, and it's these L'Oreal lipsticks, and they all begin with new, N-U, and they have a number on them. So it'll be new confident, new intense, new determined, new excessive, and they're just great. I have bought a lot of lipsticks lately that I just haven't even talked about because they're just not as good as as these. I really like these. You can still get them on Ulta, I have seen, and on Amazon, I believe. So I will link some of them. The one I have on is $178, and I really like these. It just seems like the lipsticks I've been using lately that I have bought lately are drying, and I don't necessarily have dry lips. So anybody that has dry lips, I don't know how y'all do it, but these are so creamy and they last just as long as others do. But I keep some in my purse and just touch them up periodically because they feel so good. But yeah, they're really, really good lipsticks, and they're, good price. They're by L'Oreal. Here's one right here. I really like them. So I thought I would throw that out there. Okay, now I'm going to go on to the TV and then the podcast after that. So the first one is the season 2 of Reacher. And Reacher is based on a series of books, and Doug likes the books a whole lot. It's about a man that fights crime and bad things, and he carries a toothbrush with him. That's all he owns, and he travels just across the country catching buses. He'll buy his next set of clothes, wherever he lands, and then he'll donate them after that and move on to the next place after he fights crime. And he's a big old guy, so there's lots of, fighting and stuff like that, which, not exactly my cup of tea, but I enjoyed this series. Doug liked it because he likes the series of books, and he thinks that this man that plays Reacher is true to life of what the books represent. Great big hulking guy, his arms are so big he can't even put them down beside him. And Doug says that's true to life to the book. So he enjoys the series a whole lot. I didn't think I would, but I do. It's a great story and very entertaining. The next are Crimes of the Century. It's on Max, HBO. Let's see, Reacher was on Amazon. Now, let me stop and tell you all, it seems like I'm getting lots of different apps and spending a lot of money. But what we did, we took advantage of the 1 month subscription or the free subscription. So maybe we might pay for 1 month, and then we set our alarms to when the month is up to cancel it, and then we're not charged anymore. Or some streaming services will offer a free week. So I decide what I want to watch, and I watch it during that week and then cancel it. So I'm able to watch these programs on different services without paying much money, just using what they offer. So thought that I would mention that because I don't want people to think, we're paying hundreds and hundreds of dollars every month to watch these different streaming services. We're not. We have a few, but some of the others we don't normally have. So this one is called Crimes of the Century. It is Max, HBO, and it is the crimes of the century. It dives into them so beautifully and thoroughly, and you find out things that you just had no idea were behind the scenes. They had the DC sniper, the John Lennon murder, the Andrea Yates case that was very sad, the Reagan murder attempt by John Hinckley. That was fascinating because I had no idea how close the president came to possibly dying. they realized at the last minute they needed to go to the hospital instead of taking him to the White House, and that saved his life. The Oklahoma bombing, just learned a lot about everything that went on behind the scenes with that. Amanda Knox, same thing. The Waco, the Unabomber, very interesting series, and they really delve into it nicely. The Greatest Night in Pop, that was on Netflix. That was a behind the scenes, very thorough behind the scenes of filming of the We Are the World that was done back in the 80s. And it was just so fascinating seeing all those different stars, you know, music legends interact with each other. It was especially just how they work together and how they, you know, would try to harmonize and work behind the scenes. It was fascinating. And it was very interesting to see Bob Dylan, because he's not a singer, and you could tell that he realized it early on. And he looked so uncomfortable, and the rest of people would be laughing and smiling, and he would just be so uncomfortable. And he finally, his part that he was supposed to sing, he went over to Stevie Wonder, and he said, "Stevie, can you help me?" And Stevie said, "Sure, Bob, you know, sit down, let's go over your part." And Stevie Wonder even sang it as Bob Dylan would sing it, you know, imitating him. And so he was able to get it. And you could tell, then he smiled, he felt more confident. It was a lot of behind the scenes things like that. Really thoroughly enjoyed it. Lucy Worsley on the Mystery Queen. I feel like some of these are repeats, but I've talked about them on Instagram, and I forget what I talk about on Instagram and what I talk about on here. So this is Lucy Worsley. Y'all know, I've mentioned her before. She's she does a lot of historical commentary series, you know, where she talks about everything through British history, and she, you know, they have actors that play the parts, and she'll be one of the actors too, you know, like the servant or something like that. And so she puts a lot of fun into history, so you learn a lot of historical things without realizing you are. So I enjoy her series a lot. This one is Lucy Worsley on the Mystery Queen, Agatha Christie. This was on the regular PBS app. So I really enjoyed it. She gave a lot of information about Agatha Christie, so I'm such a huge fan. Her background and how it affected how she wrote, and how her books, the mysteries that happened in her books, how it reflected sometimes on her life and how she came up with it. Fascinating. Really enjoyed it. The next one is The Real White Queen and Her Rivals. And this was a book, I believe, by Philippa Gregory, and she narrates it and goes and talks about it. It is about the White Queen, who is Elizabeth Woodville. The Red Queen, who was Margaret Beaufort, was the Red Queen, and then Anne Neville was the wife of Richard III. So it was how they positioned themselves with women having no power, how they took control of things. And very interesting. Love that time of history with the War of the Roses and the aftermath. Another Lucy Wars, okay, that was on BBC Select. Now see, the BBC will have one. They'll have BBC Select and you know, there's so many tiny apps that you have to watch these on, that you could end up spending hundreds of dollars every month. But I just downloaded them one at a time and watched what I wanted to watch, and then cancel my subscription. Okay, that was on BBC Select. This one is Lucy Worsley, Royal Myths and Secrets. This was on one called, not PBS, but PBS Documentaries, which was another separate app that you had to pay for. So, you know, I watched it and then canceled. But this one was a wide variety of royal happenings. It was Elizabeth I, the warrior queen, Queen Anne, the mother of Britain, Marie Antoinette, the doomed queen, Henry VIII's Reformation, King George III and the Fourth, and the Romanovs and the Russian Revolution. So she delves into each of those, and she does it with a wonderful style and just lots of enjoyment. And that was on PBS Documentaries. Then on regular PBS, again, I watched Decoding Da Vinci. Fascinating. It was about the life of Da Vinci, but with a special emphasis on the Mona Lisa. What made the Mona Lisa so special? Why has it been so important over all of these years? And so they do a lot of testing and going into backgrounds and talking to professionals of why this was such a special painting and why he was such a special painter and inventor and engineer. And I just enjoyed it, especially looking into the Mona Lisa. They realized how he painted. Nobody else painted like him. Nobody else used the same materials or mixed their colors. He was in a class by himself. So fascinating. I think anybody that likes art or, historical art will really love this. BritBox, this next season 8, the latest season of Shetland. And this is the first season without Jimmy Perez. Is that his name? I think it is. And you still have Tosh, and she's kind of taken over, and someone else has joined her, and they go and solve a mystery. And what was so fascinating about it was how involved it was, how you had to think, how you had to put things together and put people together and put the relationships together. It made you think, and that's something I enjoy, is sort of complicated, mysteries that I have to think about. And this was definitely one of them, season 8 of Shetland. And that was, like I said, that was on BritBox. The next one I'm still in the middle of, and it is The Spanish Princess. It's on Stars. It's the story of Henry VIII's first wife, Catherine of Aragon, and how she came to marry the older brother, Arthur. And after Arthur died, she decided she was going to marry the younger brother, who was ended up being Henry VIII. And so it's their journey of how they got together. That's where I am right now. They've gotten together, they've decided they want to marry, and they have to go through all the obstacles of people opposing it because she had been married to his older brother, and that was frowned upon, and so how they accomplished that. Another British history documentary that I really enjoyed. Okay, and then also on Stars, I watched the latest season. I think it was season 7 of Outlander. Love Outlander. It's special, and I've gotten so involved with Claire and Jamie and Bree and Roger and the rest of them, and I'll be sad when it ends. But enjoyed this season that I just watched very much. That was on Stars also. Okay, the podcast. The latest season of Dr. Death. The first season really kind of went viral, and they did a documentary on it. It was the doctor that kept performing these surgeries, even though he was messing everybody up. These back surgeries and these neurological surgeries, and he was a neurological surgeon, but he was terrible, and he messed everybody up and killed some people. And then they had season 2, season 3. This is the latest season. This was a young doctor that said he had a formula to help cure cancer and HIV, and he makes it public on the stock market, and he gets to be real well known and everything. And of course, it being Dr. Death, that it's probably a fraud and some behind the scenes mystery happened, but it was good. It was very well worth listening to, and it was on the Wondery app, Wondery, Wondery app. The next one is Sympathy Pains by iHeartRadio, and some of these I'll just link because I had just listened to them through commercials just from random apps. This is done by the same people as Dr. Death, and this was terrible. This is a woman that pretends that she has all these illnesses. So she joins chat groups, and she joins support groups, and she goes to camps and retreats of the different diseases. Not to get money necessarily, but for sympathy. Oh, you poor thing, you've overcome this disease. One of them was breast cancer, and she rode in as breast cancer on her bicycle. She got so much sympathy for that, for everything. I mean, she'll invent terrible diseases and pretend she's in a wheelchair and everything for the sympathy, and she did this for years, and it's fascinating, disturbing but fascinating. The next one, oh my gosh, it was called, and I just watched it on a random app. I don't even know, I'll just link the main page because I had to watch ads and stuff. It's Mortal Sin, and it was a preacher and his wife. She actually gets killed in a house fire. But even before that, before she was killed, this preacher convinced all the women in his church, multiple women in his church, that God told him to tell these women they're supposed to sleep with him because it's God's will. And so then his wife dies. And then even his mother-in-law, his wife's mother, he goes to her and he tells her, now God told me that to tell you, you're supposed to sleep with me. This is what God wants you to do. You can't go against what God tells you to do. So she said, okay, I guess I better. So she sleeps with him too. So it's a very another disturbing story, but very interesting. So it is called Mortal Sin. The next one is Bakersfield 3. And that's another one that I just listened to. I had to listen to ads and stuff. And it's about, okay, these 3 teenagers in Bakersfield, California get killed. Well, 2 of them get killed and 1 of them disappears all at the same time. And so the mother, nothing's being done about it, and the mothers of these teenagers, they get frustrated. So they get together and they take on City Hall and they take on the police and they take on everybody to get some answers for their children. And it's got a bit of a surprise ending to it too. So it's very good, very, very well written, and very much good listening to. I think you'll enjoy it. And my last one I'm listening to right now, it's on the Wondery Plus app. So I do subscribe to that. I pay a fee every month to be on the Wondery Plus app. It's WONDERY Plus. And so I've got the latest episodes. I think there's 4 of them that have been downloaded on the Ruby Frankie case. I think it's called The Rise and Fall of Ruby Frankie. Fascinating, in-depth of family vloggers on YouTube. And this is something when I first started 11 years ago, I had thought about doing as a grandparent. You know, I've got my kids all live around me. I've got 5 biracial kids. I've got a child that's been adopted. We could have had so many, I think it would have been successful, so many stories of family interplay of step parents and birth parents, and then the adoptive child, you know, reconnecting with her birth mother and her birth siblings. Just so much drama that I think it would have been very successful, but I couldn't have done that to my kids, to my grandkids. I just couldn't have. They've lived these past 11 years very healthy, happy lives with nobody knowing who they are. And so this is a look into family vlogging gone very, very wrong with Ruby Frankie. Let me put it this way, she's on her way or is in prison right now. So, but it gives a real in-depth look of what can go on when things like family vlogging, when it goes very wrong. So that is it. That is all that I have today. I have enjoyed talking to you all again, and I am reviewing right now. I've got one on one eye, one on the other eye. Tubing mascaras. I've bought every tubing mascara that I could find, and I'm trying them out. And I've bought fresh tubes of each one so that they would be the same degree of freshness. And I'm trying them out, one on each eye every day, see how long they last, make sure they don't smudge, and how easy they are to take off at night. Because some tubing mascaras I have found are hard to take off, and some of them just slip right off. And some tubing mascaras are, you just don't get very much putting it on, and some of them you get a lot putting them on. So I am working on that right now. I'm going to get off here and go edit this and put it up. But thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all your support and your love and your prayers during my journey with breast cancer. I feel like I've gotten on the other side now, and I appreciate it so much. So I'll talk to you in a couple of days. Everybody take care and have a good weekend. Love you all. Bye-bye.